Ocasio-Cortez turns simple question on government into a jumbled mess. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and to remove all doubt. That quote has been attributed to Abraham Lincoln, and although it's not clear if he actually said it, it's still pretty good advice. Somebody better forward it to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The Democratic Socialist candidate for Congress in New York has become a young, cool new icon for the left, but her inability to put any logical sentence together has made her look quite the fool. The wide-eyed 28-year-old candidate pulled off a surprise victory in the primary election, giving her a legitimate shot at becoming the representative of her strongly Democrat district. As the woman who doesn't know the difference between red and blue states has continued to run her mouth, however, even her side has started to notice something she seems to have no idea what in the blazes she's talking about. Last week, she proved that again. During an appearance on MSNBC, Liberal host Chris Hayes tossed her a softball question that should have been easy for any serious candidate to hit out of the park. Instead, Ocasio-Cortez seemed to just randomly string clichés and buzzwords together. The result was a jumbled mess that didn't make any sense in the English language. "You're going in there at a time when people are talking about how it's broken, how polarized, both of which I think are true," began Hayes. "And you're also coming really as an outside at a moment when people are watching what happened today with Brett Kavanaugh and want to storm the gates, and you're going to actually do that," the MSNBC host continued. "Hey, totally no bias here." Then the journalist asked a very basic question. "So what's your plan here?" It was the perfect chance for the candidate to give her elevator pitch of goals if elected, something that every candidate should have memorized and ready on the tip of their. Instead, the socialist candidate looked like a deer in the headlights. "We've tried to transcribe her answer as accurately as possible, but fair warning 7 interns were driven mad just trying to parse it. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with changing our strategy around governance. You know, there's a lot of inside baseball, inside the beltway, as you always hear that term thrown around," she began. "Baseball. Beltway. B words. But there are very few organizers in Congress. And I do think that organizers operate differently," the socialist continued. She's not wrong. Most people elected to Congress have at last some qualifications, such as years of working as attorneys or building successful businesses. So yes, there are very few lawmakers whose only background is the meaningless title of organizer. It's a different kind of strategy, Ocasio-Cortez continued. "What kind of strategy, Alexandria? Please tell us. And what it is really about organizing and really thinking about that word." Her eyes seemed to get larger as she tried very, very hard herself to think about that word. "What does it mean? Organizing. Segmenting people," she rambled on. "Wait, so liberals are now admitting they're trying to divide people into different segments? What happened to unity and togetherness? Being strategic in their actions," Ocasio-Cortez continued. "In really bringing together a cohesive strategy of putting pressure on the chamber, instead of only focusing on the pressures inside the chamber." It made sense, but only if by chamber she meant chamber pot, and its contents were whatever was being dumped from her mouth. Let's summarize. Democrats' new hip, socialist candidate has a plan to play baseball inside the beltway, by organizing like an organizer, which means segmenting people and being strategic. With cohesive pressure. On the chamber. Are you taking notes at home? There will be a graded quiz. Alright, it's easy to mock these vapid answers because we've seen clueless Miss America contestants give better political responses. No offense to Miss America contestants. The frightening fact is that Ocasio-Cortez has a genuinely solid chance of being elected to Congress. An admitted socialist who knows nothing about the economy, is clueless about government, and doesn't make any sense while speaking is who thousands of New Yorkers are tripping over themselves to represent them. At some point, it stops being funny and becomes downright terrifying. 2018 is getting bizarre.